My name is Ron McMahon. I live in Aurora, Ontario, Canada. My family is from Austria, England, and Scotland. I'm 60% Austrian, 40% English and Scottish. My mom is 100% Austrian, and my dad is English and Scottish with a small amount of German. I'm going to tell you about my rich family heritage and how I fit into Canadian history. On my mother's side, my Austrian great-grandfather immigrated to Canada in the 1920s to start a tool and die business. People in Austria were starving to death due to the First World War, so they came over to Canada. My other Austrian grandfather left his 4 brothers and 2 sisters and came to Canada in the 1950s after World War II and moved to Toronto, where he met my grandmother. He left because he wanted a change in life. My father's side is a bit more complex. The Skitches came from Bude in Cornwall, England. They came from Bude to Canada in 1850 to Campbellford, Ontario, because Cornwall was poor. I was told that the Skitches could have traveled from Norway between the times 450 to 850. Skitch is a Norwegian name. The Lockharts landed in England around the 1800s from Saxony. The Lockharts went to the Crusaders to fight for the Christians. On the way, they went to Nevadakin in 1366 with Robert the Bruce's heart in a locked box with Richard I and has the excommunication taken off because he killed John Combe in a church. When he returned to Scotland, they changed the name to Lockhart because he had a heart in a locked box. My oldest brother's name is Lockhart. He's named after the Lockharts in our family. They came to Canada in the 1850s and settled in Vasey, Ontario, known as Tay Township. The Buchners came from Bad Marienburg, Germany, to New Jersey, Sussex County, United States. 4 brothers came to Ontario in 1773 to fight the Americans as United Empire Loyalists. They came because of the oppressions of the Normans. Henry, our ancestors, married Joanna Butler, whose father was the captain of the Butler's Rangers who beat the Americans. In 1815, the Buchners had 2 captains at Queenston Heights to beat the Americans. In 1866, the Buchners had a colonel who commanded the Cook's Mill to beat the Fenians. Henry formed the first Christian church in southern Ontario. The Buchners had the first white baby born in southern Ontario. The Buchners cleared out trees, snakes, and bears from the area so that they can farm. They came because of religious persecution because they were Protestants. On my father's side, in World War II, Charles Buchner died over Gibraltar in the Air Force. Melville Lockhart was a Royal Mechanical Engineer. He fixed airplanes and bridges during the war. He fought for Canada. He was stationed in England. He said it was the best 3 years of his life. Wesley was a sapper during the war. He was a British Expeditionary Force. Wesley and Carey met in England. He was hit by mustard gas in Ypres, England. Carey was a Canadian nurse who was a one-room school teacher in Alberta. She helped Wesley to recover, and they married each other in 1916, and they returned to Canada and settled in Olds, Alberta. His son Charles died in the Second World War, Gibraltar, an island coast off of Spain. He was shot and drowned. My father's side fought in the Revolutionary War, 1866 Fenian War against the Americans, the Battle of Hastings, the First World War, the Second World War, 1066, the Battle of Culloden, 1285, the War of 1812, the Civil War in England, 1641. My mother's side fought in World War I and World War II. This shows how many wars that people have fought over the years and how we aren't changing. I appreciate what my family has done for me to start a new life in Canada. I'm passionate about multiple sports such as hockey, soccer, triathlon, Nordic skiing, track and field, and cross-country running. These things are that my family has provided me for coming over to Canada, and these things I could not do that I can now. I hope to carry these interests with me throughout high school and possibly to university. In the time that I'm not at school or doing sports, I like reading teen fantasy contemporary novels or watching anime with my brothers. My family supported me much through my life and the choices I make, and my past relatives I have to thank for that, them making that a possibility.